people are probably already asking, what is the Forever Agent? And we will get into it. And this is going to be a bit of an anthology. Each one of these points could be a 2-hour podcast in and of itself. We decided to come up with a podcast exclusively for the Forever Agent concept. I want to dive into this. This is a big one for anyone who's trying to grow a team, and a big part of the Forever Agent movement. We are going to have some content on teams, and I'm going to try to play as big a role as I can on that, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build something bigger than me. We need a team. I want to have 30, 40, 50 agents. We want to sell $1 billion of real estate. It's not that outlandish.
Right,
We already have.
exactly.
We're a quarter of the way there. I'm 34. Why not get there?
Exactly.
So here, how do we go from recruiting and retention, industry buzzwords you always hear, recruiting and retention?
Okay.
How do we go from that to selection and development?
Well, that's been one of my passions for many years. In fact, I wrote a book about that very subject. The challenge that the industry has is that I don't think there's any other entity that spends as much devotion to the word recruiting as the real estate industry does, other than the military. God bless them. And then there's only one other group that spends as much time talking about retention, and unfortunately, that would be the prisons. And so I do think we have to evolve from recruiting and retention. I've seen a lot of my colleagues, very good-natured and well-intentioned. I'd go to their offices and I'd see a little sign, recruiting solves every problem a manager could ever have. See, sometimes that says to everybody in the organization, you're like an interchangeable widget. There's a revolving door here. It drives down the value and the importance of a realtor, of a real estate professional. The more that we talk about development, the less we have to talk about retention. And so they go hand in hand. And then at some point in time, maybe I'll have all of the developmental programs that I can refer to. But it's all about selection. And it's really basically making sure that you're matching up. That's why we want to select agents that are committed to the 4 foundational values, that are willing to take a pledge, that will embrace the marketing system, will embrace the coaching, the platform, that want to convert their databases to client bases, that want to close the loyalty gap, that want to not just have a sphere of influence, but influence their sphere. These are all specific objectives that require trust, integrity, stability, and longevity, and a different professional attitude to upgrade the company. And by the way, Andrew, do I think other people are going to imitate some of this? Sure.
They already are, Alan.
Yeah, you can look forward. They're going to say convert the database, which I've been saying for years here. That's what's going to happen. But in a sense, I like that, because the whole industry has to evolve, because otherwise, with artificial intelligence and blockchain and disruption that's coming down the pike, it isn't going to be pretty if we don't make these changes. But if we make the changes, it can be the most wonderful next 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not going to be here and doing this 10 or 15 years, obviously, but you are.
You're going to be my ghostwriter.
Yeah, I'm going to be a ghost.
No,
I'll be a ghost. I won't be a ghostwriter. I'll be a ghost.
Well, there's so many ideas that people are going to steal. And look, that's the foremost form of flattery.
Yeah.
People have been copping you for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to these other icons inside the network who have these big businesses, I can't tell you how many times people have said, "Oh no, we got that from that Allan Dalton came here and talked about that, to us about that in 2014."
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, you get it all the time though. So if there was like a family tree of where these ideas come from, there's a couple hubs, and I just want you to know we all recognize you're one of them. So, all right, this is another dialogue. I want to stick to some of these dialogues, which is how's the market dialogue? Because I get this every day. I think I can answer it intelligently, but I want to hear how the legend himself would answer that question.
When I was in the insurance business and I used to walk into a room, the room used to divide like Moses in the Red Sea. Then when I get into the real estate business, everybody approached me. Now, why is it that people don't go up to life insurance agents and say, how's the life insurance business going? Why not? Because they're afraid they're going to be sold. Real estate agents, they're not afraid of being sold. And so because of that, because people approach the industry, because we actually have many consumers that love real estate even more than some people who sell it. We have people outside who invest in real estate more than realtors invest in real estate.
Oh, of course.
Exactly. And so because of that, because people approached us, We never had to develop selling muscles to offset consumer resistance because people knew they were safe. So when somebody came up and said, how's the market? We came up with these most pathetic responses in the history of the world of selling. We actually had people say, it's great. It's unbelievable. It's evened off. It's hot. It's cooled off. It's this, it's that. As if they're giving a weather report as opposed to using this as a sales opportunity. Now, many years ago, there was a very famous trainer, God bless him. I don't know what he's doing today or if he's alive or whatever, but he was a great person. I won't name him, but he got everybody in the industry to say when somebody asks, how's the market, to say, just say it's unbelievable. Therefore, if the market prices are going up or down, you're covered because it was handled as an objection rather than an opportunity. So when somebody asks, how's the market? And somebody says, it's great, it's unbelievable, it's evened off, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, all of those are horrible, in my opinion, things to say. If somebody says it's a buyer's market, somebody may be selling. If somebody says it's a great seller's market, they may be buying. And you may not know that, even though if you do know their personality types, chuckle. Right. Okay, so now what I suggest is this. Anytime somebody asks, how's the market, that you respond in this fashion. Andrew, thanks for asking. Now let's stop right there. What percentage of real estate professionals, when somebody asks them a question, say thanks for asking?
Probably not many.
Next to none, unless they've been through world-class training programs at the corporate level. Because you're taught anytime somebody asks you about something you sell, thank them, reward them. Alan, how's the market? Andrew, thanks for asking. We're in a very opportunistic market. There are great opportunities for buyers, sellers, and investors here in Maryland. In fact, now I'd like to ask you a question. Time out. The reason why earlier I said thanks for asking is based on the principle of reciprocity. I want to memorialize that you asked me, now I should ask you. Now I'd like to ask you a question, Andrew. When do you think you might be making your next real estate move?
Oh, probably not for 3 to 5 years at
Okay,
least.
well, what would be the reason?
Well, we just need to get to better schools.
Okay, great. Well, you know what? If you're not going to move for 2 or 3 years, it's probably too soon for us to get together to talk about a marketing strategy for your home. But I'd like to get over sometime within the next year, within the next several months, and start planning a merchandising strategy to make sure that someday when you do sell your home, that you optimize its value. And by the way, Andrew, I've been meaning to ask you, I'd love you to become one of my real estate clients.
You do that I might not move for 5 years, Alan.
That's the very reason I want you to become one of my real estate clients, because I want to help you either plan. I have a lot of programs on home improvement, on how to appeal property taxes, about how to enhance the value. That's what I do for my clients. In fact, I have a little brochure here. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, and we make a commitment to longevity, to the 4 values of trust, integrity, stability, and longevity, and creating forever clients, just like kind of like financial planners. Do you have a financial planner?
Of course.
Well, now that's why we're with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, because we're working along those lines. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to send you over. One of the things to start off with is our real estate lifestyle planning guide. Okay, it will help you plan. I can email it to you. And by the way, so you said 5 years. What do you think would be the reason 3 or 5 years from now that you'd want to move?
Well, I just know that's by the time our kids are going to be going into the, first, second grade. Like schools become really important now, but that's on the agenda.
Okay, that's great. And so we won't go any further because not everybody has an instant need.
Right.
But what I want to do is I want to follow up with you. And then there's 10 ways that I can keep you as a client that have nothing to do with you making a transaction. Now, you've been in this business for 12 years, Andrew.
Yeah.
If every single person that ever asked you how the market is, if you did with them exactly what I did with you, how much more successful do you think you'd be right now?
Well, I'd be a lot further along. I've never heard in the history of time, and trust, I've taken as much training as I can get my hands on. I'm a training, personal development junkie.
Right.
I've never heard anyone say, and I bet anyone listening hasn't either, asking someone the question of, would you like to be one of my real estate clients? Even after it's apparent that they're not immediately going to be involved in a transaction. That is brilliant. That is a key differentiator, and that's going to be in all of the kind of assets that the forever agents are going to get.
Well, Andrew, the reason it's never been asked, and I too am I hate to use the word junkie because it can mean dreadful consequences for blessed souls out there. But I've always been a real estate junkie, as you know, as well. And I've traced it. Mike Ferry dedicated this book to me years ago, so I used to go to a lot of Mike's retreats.
That's Tom Ferry's dad.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I remember Tom when he was a little wonderful little boy, and now he's a great leader. But the point is that what I used to, but the reason why people have never asked, I'd like you to be my client, is because we've defined the word client based on a transaction. Right. So if somebody is not going to move for 5 years, why would we ask them to be our client? And then if they become a client during the transaction, then they want to be a past client. And so what we have to do to preemptively disrupt these listing side disruptors and to countervail artificial intelligence, blockchain, all of these prop tech, okay, which is why I own the URL Prop Touch to countervail prop tech. We can talk about that later perhaps. The only way you're going to do it is to try to stake your claim, because once people will accept you, people have high affiliation needs. We've got some wonderful coaches out there, and because we've got wonderful coaches and wonderful training programs like Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, Ninja, we've got people walking around saying, I'm a ninja, God bless them. I'm a Ferryite, I'm a Buffiniite. There's high affiliation needs, but they don't have as many people in their markets saying that they're an Allan Daltonite, an Andrew Undemite, because they're not replicating what these great coaches are doing with them. The great coaches aren't sending them calendars and pumpkins. They're having more substantive help and guidance. That's why they have allegiance. The public desperately wants to have allegiance. Okay? We're not giving them the chance. When people say the buyers aren't loyal, the reason there's a loyalty gap is we're not loyal to the consumer. And we're not loyal to them because when we advertise, when you're ready to buy or sell a home, give me a call, that's light years different than saying to every single person, I want you to become one of my clients. It's not quid pro quo. It doesn't mean that's when you're ready to buy or sell a home. It means right now, forever. That's what this whole idea is about.
That's why I took the pledge. And look, to wrap up the anthology, look, we have 100 more points. We could literally be here till midnight.
Part one.
This is part one. But that last bit was so powerful. And we can talk about prop tech, and we can talk about being a storyteller and how to build a team and more dialogues and the forever agent assets. And we're going to. And look, we're going to be doing a lot of this. But I want to wrap up for part one with the pledge. You've been taking people through the pledge. This is still pretty new within the network. There might be a lot of people that says, what is the pledge? What is that sticker? You got it on your phone. Hold that up. I wear it anytime I'm going to anything Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices related. The pledge means something. This is our movement. Everything that Allan has shared today and will continue to share is based on the philosophy that we need to be forever agents, and that means serving at a higher level. Stop doing not the micro stuff, but the macro stuff. And every tactic you've shared has that DNA in it. And look, you want this DNA in your real estate business. Everybody does.
Well, you know, Andrew, in terms of the forever and the macro, that's why, for example, like something like 71% of people have and love their pets. We've got a program, Moving with Pets. But not every realtor even brings that to their open houses. I think pet owners love pets more than they do realtors. They're more likely to pick up a brochure on how to buy or sell a home with a pet than a realtor's buyer. We're missing the point. That's a macro idea. We have how to downsize. We have move, improve, or relocate. When people are deciding to move, improve, they're not even calling in their realtor. And because the realtor's not even called in, they don't get that listing if they sell. They don't get their new home that they buy, and they don't get referrals from the vendors because they're not operating as a forever agent. If they don't have a clients-only directory, they're not getting from all of the vendors. And so these are the programs that we have. But as Gerda said, in order to do, you must first be, and you've got to first want to be and not think this is some joke or what's this, Pet Rock 2.0 or something. Something like 250 plus companies have people take pledges. President, Supreme Court Justice, Canadian Mounted Police, all over the world, China. People take oaths and pledges if they think what they're doing is important.
Doctors,
the Hippocratic Oath goes back to ancient
agents.
Greece, and the doctors have 4 parts of their oath, just like we have 4 parts. If somebody thinks that what they do is worthy, Realtors have to, I believe, start having greater internal value and respect for who they are. Because if anyone thinks that they're not worthy, like doctors, like lawyers, like police officers, to take an oath, now because of the forever agent oath, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services agents can take two pledges. One, they make a pledge to being a realtor, to follow the code of ethics and so forth, so that everybody has that pledge. Now we're the only brand that has a secondary pledge. That is to not only to do right and be ethical, but to do it for your clients forever. That's a worthwhile and worthy objective.
And you're going to teach them how to do it.
Exactly.
We kind of breeze through some of there's a ton of really intelligent marketing programs that Allan's created and used for decades that are now specifically tailored for us and our brand. You mentioned, and there's so many tactics on how to use these things, like placing them at their open houses. Like, look, I don't have pets. Does that mean I shouldn't have a Moving with Pets guide?
Exactly.
This is a way to attract, to have people seek you out.
At the macro level.
At the macro level. So I'm going to close this out, Allan, for part one, the inaugural Forever Agent podcast. First off, just by saying thank you so much for coming to Baltimore, to Bel Air. I'll do anything I can ever do to help this movement grow because I believe in it. And I believe in the guy whose brain it came out of and who's kind of leading the teams that are going to help democratize this information across our entire global network. You're a phenom in the industry, and we all are just lucky to have you here at our brand. Thanks again for coming out. And if there's anything you want to close with, feel free.
I would just say, Andrew, you're a tribute to the industry. You're a tribute to your lovely family. You're a team player. That's why you've got the Sure group that all follows you, because of all you do is talk about how great they are. The other people within your brand, your CEO, Broker Rod, everybody that you work with, the praise you give, Gino and Christy and Bob. You're a tribute to your parents. I know your father is on the faculty at Johns Hopkins, the preeminent medical university in the world, or one of them, along with Harvard University. And it just and the greatness of your parents speaks through you. And you're a tribute to the industry. You're what the industry needs to represent.
Well, that's the best compliment I've ever got. Stay tuned for more Forever Agent podcast episodes. They're going to be coming fast and furious. Guys, I had 40 things. We got through 22. This is part one. It won't be the last. Thanks for tuning in.